Welcome to the Daily Workout. I'm Angela Cripps, the MD of the Recruiting Gym, and partner in crime. The second half of Alas Cripps and Clarke is with me this morning, Mr. Alan Clarke, Mr. RecruiterFit himself. Good morning, Alan. How are you?
And a very good morning to you. That was my really bad attempt at Vogue. Did you notice that? It was just with fingers.
I've been watching the Madonna concerts that she's doing now. She had to put them off, didn't she? She was really ill, nearly died. She's come back, and I think it helped her because she's lost quite a bit of weight through the illness. Yeah. And they're putting them side by side, sort of 30 years ago, the voguing and all the different songs. And she looks amazing. She was a dancer.
Yeah, but she's never had any work done, Angela. So you know.
I don't think she said that. I just don't think she's admitted what she's had. Anyway,
we could all look glam if we sort of pumped and filled and nipped and tucked. I mean, look at this. This is all natural. These crinkles, they're laughter lines.
I nearly said that, but you've just seen me for 10 minutes putting my makeup on. So, ain't you not right?
Rebecca's here. You see?
Happy Friday, everyone.
Hi, Rebecca.
This is our My Life in Recruitment series, fastly becoming my favourite week of the daily workout. We've got 8 weeks that we repeat through the quarters, and this has now been added to it because getting to listen to people that have been in the industry, I think we've put the limit now around 20 years plus, but I think most people this week have been 30 years plus, including yourself. So let's start from the beginning, Alan. How did you get your job in the recruitment industry right from the beginning?
Well, first of all, Rebecca's just put you have laughed a lot. Rebecca, we just had a little bit of a laugh because I just said to Angela while she was doing her lippy and her eye makeup, I'm not sure how I feel about doing the 9/11 workout. She said, what do you mean? I said, because this is the 911th one. So, of course, there was probably loads of things that we've just said off camera that we can't say here right now. How did I get into recruitment? You see, I don't think this answer is going to be a shock to anyone at all. I stumbled, or as who was it said, Mark, yesterday, it was circumstance and not choice. Basically, I'm trying to come up with words other than fall. Ah, bugger, too late. I fell into it because you know that every job that I've done up to this point had nothing really to do with recruitment. You know that my first job was working on a dairy farm, milking cows and driving tractors and all that sort of thing.
And not just that end, yeah.
Did that for 14 months. Then 3 months, I came to London. I thought, let's go to London to make my fortune, Dick Whittington stylesque. And I worked for an Italian shipping firm for 3 months. Didn't speak Italian, didn't understand anybody, so it didn't last all that long. And then I joined NatWest. So that was my first proper career, and I did 15 years there. 10 years I was working in corporate M&A, privatisations. I was there for the original British Gas and Rolls-Royce and Hissing Sid and all of that. Crazy times. And then the last 5 years, I was a financial advisor, which I know you and I have that in common. And after 5 years there, I got the opportunity to take voluntary redundancy. So I thought, yes, let's do that with absolutely no idea of what I wanted to do next. Now, with a wife, 3 kids and a mortgage and no income, that was a brave step. But part of the redundancy package was they give you some coaching in terms of how to write a CV. Mm-hmm. I'd never written a CV before. I had no CV repertoire, and I'd been working for nearly 16 and a half years. So they gave you this list of action words and positive words to help you to write your opening gambit. You know, that opening paragraph we used to have, or some people still do on their CV. Yeah. So I thought, yeah. And I saw this list of words as almost like a target to see how many I can get in. So I produced this CV and I took it home to my wife, my wonderful wife, who is also my proofreader. And she read this and she said, whose is this? And I said, well, it's mine. She said, you haven't done this. You don't do that. So I think I might have overdone that opening paragraph. So needless to say, I took on board her advice and I walked into a branch of Reed in Cannon Street in London with this bloody awful CV. And as Stephen said yesterday, was it earlier in the week about the immortal words came out? I spent about 6 or 7 minutes with this consultant. She said, Alan, have you ever thought about a job in recruitment? And there it was. There it was. This light, this lightning bolt just came down. So after 3 rounds of interviews, they didn't hire me.
Oh,
They didn't hire
I wasn't
me.
expecting that. I thought you were read first.
No, actually, nor was I. Nor was I. So, but the thing is, the touch paper had been lit. So I went and got the Evening Standard. I scoured the Evening Standard and just applied for a whole load of recruitment jobs. And it was November 95. I started working for this specialist IT recruitment company. Awful experience, awful experience. After 3 months, I was out of there. I had a briefcase full of CVs, a list of recruitment agencies in London, and basically I just turned up at their reception.
Wait a minute. You took the CVs from the company?
No. Now it was my CV.
Oh,
it was my CV.
I could often gone to the other agent.
I'm not a petty pilferer.
I thought, so now what? Alan, I've got to check this.
No, I've got my CVs, a briefcase full of my CVs, and I went to all these recruitment companies, and I'd go to reception. I said, I'm here for the interview. They said, what interview? I said, for a recruitment consultant. They said, and who is that with? I said, whoever's doing the interviewing. And they said, have you actually got an interview? I said, yes, in about sort of 10 minutes or so. So basically, I forced myself on these people to interview me because I thought, I've got 3 months recruitment experience. I can do this. Anyway, Blue Arrow, they hired me. Yay. On the back of me, we talk about marketing candidates. Well, I did. I mean, I took it to the next level. And I think as Julie mentioned, didn't she, earlier on in the week about a bit of self-promotion.
Yeah.
And I worked for Blue Arrow for, I think, about 1.5 years as a consultant. And I did a bit of self-promotion because I saw the job advertised for a foundation trainer. Yeah. So I said to my boss, can I go for that job? And he said to me, yes, of course you can, but you haven't got a chance. And I thought, thanks for the support, Gerard. Gerard, if you're watching, thanks for the support. You see, but what he told me was that in the history of Blue Arrow, nobody had ever been hired as a trainer from consultant level.
And they said you can't be a trainer until you've been a manager. That was the level. Now, you're a little bit different though, because you'd had 15, 16 years in industry. A lot of us were in our early 20s. I was 20 when we started, and they were like, no, pushing back. But actually, you were a bit different.
Yeah, I was a bit different. And I think I've got to take my hat off to Lynn Morton for sort of sticking her neck out and, sort of taking me on board. But I did the face-to-face interview with Lynn, and she said, right, the second part of the interview is you've got to run a live training session.
Sorry, that's her ringing saying, can I have you back?
Gulp. That was subtle.
I messaged her last week, actually. Shout out to Lynn Morton. She took a risk on me as well. In my interview, I said, I'm about to get pregnant. I just want to let you know. Got home that night, was already pregnant.
No, she was absolutely brilliant because she gave me that opportunity and she said, you've got to run a live training session. Now, what I didn't realize was I was running an afternoon session. The morning session was the other woman that I was up against. And so I said to the group, before Lynn came in, because obviously she was going to be observing me, I said to the group, look, by the way, I'm here for an interview, so I'm really nervous right now. And they said, oh, so is that what that woman was doing this morning? And I went, well, probably. Oh, she never told us that. And I went, look, despite that, Lynn's going to be in a minute. So whatever happens at the end, when we finish at 5 o'clock, can you just give me a little round of applause? And they said, yeah, right, fine. Anyway, 5 o'clock. I finished bang on time, and it was mayhem. They stood up, they were cheering, they were whistling, round of applause. If they had had the football crackers, they would have done that. Lynn, I looked at Lynn's face, and she was just gobsmacked by this approach. And I'm like, keep it down, keep it down. But yeah, I was hired, and I've been training now for 28 years. But yeah, fantastic.
You always get rounds of applause at the end of your training sessions, so I'm not surprised at that. But I feel really sorry. Do you have any idea who that woman was? Because we probably both know her.
I think I do, but I'm not going to say online.
Tell me afterwards in the green room. She had no chance then, did she? Poor woman. Right. Okay. So we've worked out your life with Blue Arrow, and how long were you with the company in the end? About 7, 8 years?
Well, no, I did about 1.5 years consulting, and then about 2 and a bit years as a trainer.
That all it was?
Yeah, I think. I think it was only about sort of 2 or 3 years, and then I got headhunted out. So Go be a training manager for an executive search firm in London. Oh,
that's another story for another time, because Alan set
yeah.
me up on my only ever blind date, I think, actually, with one of his colleagues there.
I remember it well. And I also remember my opening line, but we're not going to go there either.
Brilliant. Okay, so now we're into the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say is the good in our industry?
Oh, I'm not going to start with a good.
Oh,
Always start with the
want.
ugly. I'm not gonna do the old shit sandwich. I'm gonna start with the ugly, because there's actually, unfortunately, there's plenty of ugly. And my first biggest ugly was my first 3 months in IT recruitment. Because day one, bearing in mind I've been 15 years corporate environment, this guy said to me, he said, right, you're doing PC networks, LAN and WAN, which meant absolutely nothing to me. But I thought, well, that's nice. He's given me a couple of Chinese chaps to help me out, because, I hadn't got a clue what he was talking about. And I was told, get on the phone. I was sold the role that if you get 14 contractors out, how they got that figure, I don't know. If you get 14 contractors out, we'll double your base salary. So I thought, well, okay. So I just literally called, got any jobs, got any jobs, got any jobs. And I picked up this contract role. I picked up this client and they wanted 75 contractors. And these were for 1 to 2 years.
Oh my God.
Rolling extension. And it was something to do with PABX cabling and switching units from, I don't know, BT to whoever the other one was. And I thought, result, brilliant. Let's start filling these roles. And then my little boss of my weasel of a boss came over to me and said, well, you've obviously got a penchant for BD, so you carry on doing that, and I'll get the lads to fill the roles. So, another one of the uglies there was that there was a lot of internal competition. There was fisticuffs at the fax machine. They would fill somebody else's booking. They would nick candidates. So for me, the ugly was complete lack of training, missold the role, but also favourites within the organisation. And I know that, was it Helen that mentioned another ugly was about egos?
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I joined the executive search firm, there was this one particular guy, a contracts recruiter. He came over to me and he said, you know what trainers are, don't you? Like, we've never heard this before. Those that can, those that can't teach. You can't teach me jack shit. And I thought, oh my God, seriously? Within 2 months, he was like putty in my hands. He was actually coming to me asking for help. And I think there was one other ugly that I came across, and actually the ugly came from the consultants within the business, and it was at Blue Arrow. Do you remember we used to do something called doorstepping?
Yep.
Yeah. So this woman came in, and one of my colleagues went down to see her, and my colleague lasted about 3 minutes with her and said, oh, Alan, can you go and see her? I mean, just look at her. And I thought, what do you mean look at her? Well, look, all she wants to do is type all day. And I went down, and this woman was slightly older, slightly larger. It didn't look as if she took care of herself. So I sat down with her, and I said, what is it you want to do? She said, look, Alan, she said, I just want to type all day. I don't want I don't want career progression. So I said, well, look, do you mind if I put you through the test? Because we had to put them through the test. Yeah. 110 words a minute.
That's probably the far. I got to 105 once with a guy with one arm, but 110?
0% error. And she got something like 80-90% on all the packages. And I said, right, you sit there, get yourself a coffee. I made 5 phone calls and got her 3 interviews. And I pitched her in by saying, all she wants to do is type all day. No. So the ugly for me was the other consultants that I worked with, one in particular that I worked with, she made some real perceptions about people. And, the ugly truth is that sometimes we do have our own perceptions that we've got to put to one side. Definitely. So sorry if I've overdone the uglies. There was quite a few there.
Well, people usually shy away from the ugly, actually. I found that this week. But you're right. Those judgments that we make, and we do make impressions of people, and we make judgments very quickly. And the key thing as a recruiter is to put those to one side, isn't it? And actually spend the time, ask the questions, find out information, and people do surprise you. Brilliant. Okay, do you want to go bad or good?
I will go bad, because I think bad sort of ties in with something that is extremely topical right now, and it's the mental health issues. And the bad was that a lot of managers weren't well enough equipped to deal with people who were struggling, or to deal with newbies. And basically, if they didn't hit their targets, you give them bigger targets, and it wasn't really any support. They didn't spot the signs of somebody spending a lot of time in the toilet. And therefore there was a lot of churn and burn, and it made it very difficult to hire. And then, of course, the jungle drums, they beat very loudly. And I think that has given the reputation of our industry a bad reputation. And that's why it's made it difficult to hire people in. And that's why it's not people's first choice, because of all the horror stories that they hear. But as Helen mentioned, it's a multi-billion-pound industry. You've had opportunities, I've had opportunities. You learn transferable skill sets. You know, some people use recruitment as a stepping stone into what they really want to do. But the managers weren't well enough equipped to deal with those people that were perhaps going through it. They didn't spot the signs and they didn't give them the support. And because it's not a number one choice of people to join, people come into recruitment as a last ditch effort, almost as a last choice.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, it's the bad reputation which has been caused by, I think, lack of support, lack of input, lack of training.
Definitely agree with that one. Let's get some good out then.
Oh, the good has to be, it has to be the support that I've had. I think such supportive teams, particularly in Blue Arrow, Lynn Morton, particularly for taking the chance on me. But I think seeing the potential in you, those people that see the potential in you, you know, if it wasn't for Lynn sticking her neck on the line, you and I wouldn't have met. And, you know, Mr. RecruiterFit, you know, wouldn't have even appeared. So in a nutshell, for me, it was the supportive nature that we have in a lot of people. I think it's the training, and I think it's the potential that we see in people. You can learn so much more than just recruitment. You can learn so many transferable skill sets that would help you in dozens and dozens of other industry sectors. And just on that, you know, I said about the group that I said, look, can you give me a round of applause? When Lynn Morton left Blue Arrow, I was lucky enough to go to her leaving dinner, and I did a speech for her, just a sort of a farewell speech. And I explained, by the way, this is what I said. I said to Lynn, this is what I asked for. And at the end, she came over, she gave me a hug, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and she said, Alan, even if you hadn't asked for the applause, you would have got it. And I thought, oh my God, totes emotion.
That imposter syndrome that might have been hovering around, thinking,
Yeah.
I got it. No, not at all. I said exactly the same thing as soon as you said it. You always get rounds of applause. So that's not an issue at all. So thinking about that then, and all that you've learned over all these years, what would be your one piece of advice if someone was joining our industry now?
Well, I noticed Mark yesterday couldn't restrict it to one piece of advice.
What?
There was a list. There was a list of 5. And the thing is, it is a difficult question to answer because everybody has their own personal stories, their own experiences, their own backgrounds, and their own whys. So I'm going to try and sum it up with one piece of advice. Here goes. Don't do it. No. Book a holiday.
Ooh.
Right, now what I mean by that is, if you think, and you've booked loads, Angela, so you'll know about this, there are so many different types of holidays. There are so many different destinations. People want different things. Do you want to ski? Do you want to scuba? Do you just want to get drunk? Do you want to cruise? Do you want to trek? Do you want historical interest? Do you want 14 nights? Do you want 7 nights? So basically, when booking your holiday, do your research. Know what it is that you want from that holiday. And I think Stephen mentioned about being nosy. Know your budget. Know what you can afford, know what you can afford to live on. Look at the reviews. Ask people for recommendations. Ask people for honest feedback. Speak to people who've been there. Work bloody hard to get there. But also know that there might well be the inevitable delays and cancellations, bad weather, meeting idiots on your holiday. But make sure that that holiday matches your whys, your passions, what it is that you really want to do. And sometimes you'll have fantastic holidays that you will definitely go back. So for me, all of those holiday tips that I've just mentioned apply to anybody coming into recruitment. You know, get that holiday booked. And sometimes it can be a long haul. Enjoy the journey as well as the destination, because the destination is definitely going to be worth it. And whilst you're on that journey, don't forget Stephen's tip about ABB, always be branding. Continue to drip feed, continue to stay at the forefront of people's mind. Otherwise, you're going to get swallowed up and forgotten. And there's no, I mean, why do you think that a lot of recruitment companies have holidays as incentives? You see?
It all links
all
together.
Ties in. So don't come into the industry, book a holiday first.
Love that. Now, talking about always be branding, I'm going to invite Rebecca onto the stage, and I'm going to open up the stage as well, because actually it's a special day today. I hope she's remembered this. She did from those, because mental brain kicked in.
Every day's a special. Every day's a special day when Rebecca Shannon's in it.
Hey! Can you turn the speaker down a little bit, Rebecca? We're all coming out twice.
Oh, I'm sorry. Better.
Fabulous. I'm going to make it an open space as well. So if you want to get, I haven't got another tab, Rebecca.
Possibly. There we go. Let me shut everything down. Is that better?
Possibly. No.
Crowdcast 101.
What's the day today?
What's the special date today? It's a full moon this weekend. It is a full moon. I have remembered, you see. I have remembered. So it's a full moon. So we were gonna talk about what to do at the full moon, wasn't it? Which was about letting go.
Yes, because I can remember whether it was a new moon or a full moon.
Full moon. So yes, we were going to invite people to think about, and obviously we've done a week where people have been talking about the past and how it's brought them to now and the present day. But what's really good over the weekend, while there's a full moon, if you can actually get out there under the full moon and do a bit of moon bathing, it's even more magical, is to just think about things that you want to let go of. So thoughts, stories, limiting beliefs, events, people, relationships, worries, fears, absolutely anything. A great thing to do is just to write them out. I want to let go of, I'm letting go of, whatever it is. And it's only for you, so it doesn't have to be, you don't have to worry about upsetting anyone or going out and telling anyone that you're doing this. It's really just things that you want to let go of. And then you can either put them in water or burn them is a good way to actually let that energy all go. Not the people, Alan, not the people.
I feel quite sorry for the moon. I feel quite sorry for the moon at this point, receiving all of that stuff.
Oh, the moon is so big and beautiful. She can just take it all and transmute it all into beautiful energy, Alan.
So, Alan, you've just done this week. Getting rid of it.
Oh, I have. Yeah, I've decluttered my loft. But I am very, very aware of the full moon cycle, because my wife is very much what she tells me about that. Obviously, I get water retention. So I do a lot of letting go.
So what have you physically done this week?
I've cleared out the loft, and I have got rid of stuff that I'd carried with me from about 3 or 4 different houses. And some of it has the emotional attachment, but you think just declutter, the same as you should declutter your inbox and your sent items and your life. And I think a lot of us actually did some decluttering when COVID hit. We really looked at what was important and what isn't important. And Rebecca's point, that even included people. Who are the people that actually enrich your lives and give you those positive vibrations, and who are the ones that are the mood hoovers and the psychic vampires that just suck the life force out of you, and they can be a real drain. So sometimes it's cathartic for sure, but sometimes it takes a brave step to actually take that step.
Definitely. So Rebecca, I had to mute you during that, because otherwise we would have got the two coming together.
Okay, cool. Yes, exactly what Alan said there. It is brave. It is brave to let things go when there's attachment to them. So the other great thing about this process is you're letting go of these things. You're energetically, as Alan said, clearing things out. That then creates space for other things to come in. So what I would invite people to do is do over the weekend, do the full moon, let go. What do you want to let go of? And perhaps the next morning, just with a journal or a piece of paper, is think about the things you want to invite into your life. So as Alan said, there are people who enrich your life, people who support you, situations that support you, holidays that you might want to take, things you want to enjoy. So as much as it's about letting go and being brave in the things you want to let go of, is then you've created all this magic space that you can fill. And even if you don't know what it is, just get a feeling. I'd love to travel more. I'd love to spend more time with my family. I'd love more friends, whatever it is. You don't have to pin it down at this stage. But what you're doing is inviting things into that space you've just created.
Yeah. We've got Christmas coming up, obviously. Let's not avoid it. And if you think about decorating the tree, the more adornments you put on it, the more attachments you put on it, the more it weighs it down. you know, and it doesn't look as good. And if you think about attachments, I see them as anchors. You know, they might keep you in one place, or you know, you're trying to move forward, but you can't because you're anchored, and it's a really tough journey. And why is it that you get these top athletes and sports people, when they practice their running, they're dragging a tire behind them, right? Because what that does, when they train with it to make them stronger, and you say you can learn from that, but then when you run without it, you just you're gone, you're out the blocks. So for me, I think we can't stop having these anchors, we can't stop having these attachments, but at some point they got to go.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
And
Sorry.
Sorry. As Alan said there, it's a really good analogy, Alan. Even though you've mentioned Christmas, you know, you are going to pick these up. We pick them up all the time. Energetic attachments, energies, etc. So yeah, I love that idea of, you know, yes, it does make us stronger. We can practice with them. We have all these things, but actually, when we want to go forward and we actually want to do things in life, just leave them behind. Yeah, get rid.
Fantastic. Thank you. We'll carry this on in the green room. We're heading back in there now. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed Life in Recruitment as much as I have. We'll be back again in January with this one. Next week, it's short course week. So we'll give you snippets of all our short courses. They start from 30 quid. So you can't lose, really. So we'll give you little insights into each of them and a bit of help every day. So some free training for you next week. All right.
Thanks, Pascal. Hi, Pascal. Hi, Donovan. Oh, and by the way, if Louise Triance is going to be watching this or is watching this, I'm channeling Louise Triance with my new backdrop.
Fantastic. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye all.